That video talks about parental leave for both birthing and non-birthing parents in the military for 12 weeks and what non-birthing parents are supposed to do during their 12 weeks of parental leave. When our son was born, my wife and I were both working at the same place and we each got 6 weeks of parental leave. So we staggered it. My wife took 6 weeks and then I took 6 weeks. So during my 6 weeks, I did everything that she did during her 6 weeks. I held my son. I bonded with him. I sang him songs. I danced with him. I changed his diapers. I fed him. I put him down for naps. I made sure that he was clean. All of the things that a parent does. The only thing that I didn't do was breastfeed because I couldn't do that. But my wife pumped, and so I had plenty of breast milk to feed our baby. Now, when we were home together, we spent a lot of time bonding with each other and together bonding with our child. Everyone's birthing story is different. Some of them are very traumatic. Some people, after giving birth, need a lot of recovery time and need support. So you can spend that time buying groceries, making food, making sure that the birthing parent is comfortable and has a break and is able to take a bath or shower. I remember after our son was born, my wife wanted pico de gallo. Just fresh pico de gallo around the clock. So I was just chopping tomatoes and onions just constantly. Another thing that can happen is that a birthing parent can have a lot of different emotions after giving birth. They could sink into depression. They could not feel bonded to their child in the way that they thought they would, and that causing them a lot of negative emotions. And it's helpful for them to have someone else there with them that is going through that process with them. You can also help your partner get enough sleep. Sometimes babies don't sleep very well. Sometimes they do. Our son slept pretty well. I remember my wife would get up and either pump or feed our son once every night. But if he was awake at any other time during the night, then I would be up with him. And I don't know how other people feel, but I felt like if there was any way that I could give my wife extra rest, it was worth doing. And I know this doesn't really apply to a military scenario, but one of the things that my wife and I learned very early on is that just because you're the birthing parent doesn't mean you're the one that should stay home. My wife went back to work, and I didn't. I taught 1 or 2 classes here and there just so I wouldn't have a gap in my resume, but I stayed home. I stayed home for 3 years. And I wouldn't trade that time I spent with my son for anything in the world. Because once it's gone, you can never get it back.